Conventional wisdom has that Argentina are going to win this World Cup, but I really don't think that's going to happen. They might be the favorites, but they ain't winning anything in Qatar. Good evening, my peoples, and welcome back to the Counterattack. I hope you and yours are doing very, very well. The World Cup, it has finally arrived. My favorite time comes around only once every 4 years, but it is here and it is just as weird as ever. We have our first ever Winter World Cup and our second in Asia. Cannot wait for it. We're gonna have two videos here. Part 1 is today. Part 2 will probably come out tomorrow. Part 1, first 4 groups A, B, C, and D. And in part 2, I'm going to get to the last 4 groups, E, F, G, and H. But for this first one, let's start off with Group A. Starting us off tonight and kicking off the tournament is Group A. Group A comprised of the host Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands. What an absolutely tasty group. And when I'm looking at this group, Qatar, they deserve a lot of respect. They are not the same team from 10 years ago. They are the current Asian champions, if you can believe that or not. But I really feel that their defense will not be able to stand up to the other 3 teams in the group, Senegal and especially the Netherlands. They have some really, really potent attacks that the Qataris, I don't think, will be able to withstand. The Netherlands here, they'll be expected to win this group. They're in good form. They had an excellent Nations League campaign. And they have some new, younger players like Xavi Simons, who kind of did not expect him to make this Dutch squad. That should make the Netherlands just a bit too much for the other 3 teams. Senegal and Ecuador, they round up the group, and they will be the ones fighting for second place. Ecuador finished 4th, a little bit surprising, kind of a high finish for them in South American qualifying. I honestly did not see them making it to this World Cup. I think they finished last, or close to last, in their 2018 qualifying group out of South America. And Senegal had to beat the Egyptians with Mo Salah to make it into Qatar. So two relatively strong teams, if I'm being honest. I think Holland and Senegal will be the ones to make it out of this group. I don't think that Ecuador have enough up top, especially up top. I believe their main striker is Enner Valencia. Remember him? I believe he plays in the Turkish league now. But Enner Valencia, he is their goal-scoring threat for Ecuador. And really, when I look at that, and then I look at the Senegalese team, who have weapons all over the pitch. Even if Sadio Mane, who knows how much he's going to play, we know that he's not playing in that first game, and it seems like he won't play in the second one either. But outside of him, Ismaila Sarr. Senegal have tons of options up front, and I think that will be enough for them to qualify out of this group with the Netherlands. Here we are at Group B. What an interesting group, especially for someone from an English-speaking country, because we have 3 teams where English is the main language. We have England, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the United States of America, my fellow Americans. Rounding out the group is Wales, 3 English-speaking teams, but honestly, I only think that one of them will go through here. It'll be a tight group. England will be expected to win this outright, won't they? On paper, they're much stronger than Iran, much stronger than the United States, and definitely stronger than Wales. But they're in quite a bit of bad form. There's a lot of, questions around the team, especially the defense. And Gareth Southgate and his waistcoat depends on a solid defense. Harry Maguire hasn't played in weeks. Has not played in weeks. Stones is coming off an injury. Walker's coming off an injury. Trent's out of form defensively. At left back, it's pretty much Luke Shaw or no one. The United States, Wales, and Iran will battle it out for second place. And everyone right now is sort of speaking as if Iran doesn't really matter. That they don't clock in this group. And I think that is a big mistake, because 4 years ago, in a group that included Spain and a younger Portugal, Iran finished with 4 points. They almost made it out of the group. Iran made it out of a tougher group 4 years ago, and this group this year is not as tough. I think they have just as much of a chance as Wales and the United States to make it out of this group, and I think they will. Halfway through, and we've reached Group C, and it includes a lot of people's favorites this year, Argentina. Lionel Messi in probably his last World Cup. Last time you're going to get to see him on this stage. So really, let it all just burn into your memory here. And honestly, they should wind up with all all 9 points out of this group. Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland make up the rest of the group. Argentina is stronger than all of those sides. Yeah, it's pretty much a wrap for who's going to win this group. With Argentina pretty much nailed on to sail out of this group, it's all a question about who finishes in that second place spot. And any three of these could do that. Usually, Saudi Arabia is usually a very, very weak team. I remember them in 2002. I think they got beaten 8-0 by the Germans, but they have been absolutely flying in Asian qualification. They're number 9. I think he's absolute quality. I love his little celebration with his little guitar. Absolutely love it. They've been flying qualification, and they play a very fun, aggressive, pressing style. I really like that from them, and I hope it continues in Qatar. Rounding out the group, we have the Poles. My sweet Poles. They're in okay form, but they seem incapable of beating any big nation. In their qualifying, they just don't seem capable of it. Anytime they come up against a tier 1 European nation, Belgium, so on, they lose. They'll be looking for Robert Lewandowski for his sort of individual brilliance and skill to get them out of this group. I think that's the only way out of this group for them. I think Mexico are in big, big danger of not getting anything from this group, of finishing in last place. Beating up on smaller regional opponents in qualifying and friendlies just aren't going to cut the mustard, are they, at the World Cup? They have the same problem that the United States has. They qualify from a relatively weak region, and even in qualifying, the Mexicans and the Americans didn't cover themselves in glory at all. The last group I have for you today, Group D, rounding out part 1. Oh boy, some familiar faces in this one, including the team I support, Les Bleus. Group D comprised of France, Australia, Denmark, and Tunisia. Some very interesting matchups going on there, but don't the French, the Aussies, and the Danes know each other so well? They were drawn with each other in 2018 in Russia, the second straight World Cup that they've been drawn together. Can they get anyone new to play each other? The last time out, 4 years ago, it was tight, tough matches. I expected a bit more from the French. I thought they would run through the Danes and the Australians, but that's not what happened 4 years ago, and it is definitely not going to happen this year. This year, France are the strongest side on paper, but they have been plagued, absolutely cursed, with injuries, infighting, witch doctor this, framing each other that, blackmail. You know how the French are. They are always at each other. It's ridiculous. Denmark, however, look a very, very good bet to win this group. They played the French a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago in the Nations League, and absolutely destroyed them in Copenhagen. It was not good to see. I think it might have been 4-1 or something like that. Denmark, I think, are going to win this group. Outside of Denmark and France, I really don't think Australia and Tunisia are going to offer too much. Look for Australia to sit deep and try to nick something. That's kind of what happened 4 years ago. I think they're going to do it both against Denmark and France and try to beat Tunisia, and hopefully their point total will be enough. As for Tunisia, unless they can beat Australia, I think they're going to be the whipping boys of this group. They qualified relatively, without drama, but at this World Cup, I think they're going to finish in last place in the group, and that'll be that for them. Thank you for sticking with me, my people, on part 1 of the World Cup group stage review. Part 2's coming up. Take care.